Let's clear something up right away, guys. Sardinia might be part of Italy on the map, but step foot here and you'll realize this island is a world of its own. Yes, there's a ferry from the mainland. Yes, the gelato is good, but culturally and historically, Sardinia feels like another planet. Picture a rugged land of a rocky, sun-blasted, ancient ruins, mountain villages, and goats wandering across the hillsides, all floating in the middle of the Western Mediterranean. Sardinia is old, proud, mysterious, and absolutely stunning. It's the second largest island in the Mediterranean, but it doesn't exactly feel Mediterranean. The inland is all granite peaks, thick forests, and abandoned ghost towns. But the coastline, that's what steals the show. Sardinia's beaches are legendary. From the glamour of Costa Smeralda to the dramatic limestone cliffs of Cala Golorizze to Spiaggia La Pelosa, which might just be one of the most beautiful beaches on Earth. Tourism here is a double-edged sword. In summer, the coast explodes with Italians, Germans, French, and the occasional American who probably meant to book Sicily. The economy thrives on it, but many locals are frustrated by visitors treating the island like a theme park. Step away from the beaches, into the mountain villages, and the vibe changes completely. Quieter, more cautious, but deeply authentic if you earn the locals' respect. Sardinia is officially an autonomous region of Italy. In practice, that means complicated politics, underfunding, and a sense of being overlooked by Rome. Some Sardinians dream of independence. Others just wish the mainland would stop reducing them to a mix of beaches and shepherds. Either way, the island's identity is strong, complex, and unforgettable. Our first stop is Cagliari, the capital of Sardinia, a city that's been compared to Jerusalem itself. This is how the writer D.H. Lawrence described it when he arrived in 1921, and he say, "Strange and wonderful, unlike Italy at all." And frankly, he wasn't wrong. Cagliari makes an unforgettable first impression. Pink flamingos gliding over lagoons, a medieval skyline crowned by stone walls and Pisan towers, and a port that has welcomed travelers for thousands of years. The city is home to about 150,000 people, and the locals, the Cagliaritani, have a unique mix of warmth and blunt honesty. They'll help you with directions, warn you about jellyfish, and then immediately complain about the government. Geographically, Cagliari is wedged between the Mediterranean Sea and the Campidano Plain. At night, the city comes alive along Via Mano, leading down to Piazza Iene and Largo Carlo Felice, where you'll find shops, restaurants, and cafes buzzing with life. Down by the water, Via Roma's arcades are lined with bars and boutiques. The historic heart of Cagliari is the Castello district, perched on a hill above the port. Here you'll find the cathedral, the archaeological museum with its mysterious nuragic statuettes, and the old Pisan towers with sweeping views over the sea. Roman ruins, including an impressive amphitheater, add yet another layer of history. Castello was once home to the city's nobility and religious leaders, and today its steep alleys and staircases connect to the rest of town, with elevators making the climb a little easier. Around it, the working-class neighborhoods of Villanova and Stampes are slowly transforming with new cafes and art spaces. Cagliari's location has always made it strategic. Just over 300 kilometers north of Tunisia, it was once a naval stronghold for Romans, Phoenicians, and Carthaginians. The Gulf of Angels, the sweeping bay that cradles the city, has protected it for centuries. But in 1943, Cagliari was heavily bombed, and many residents hid in underground tunnels, which you can still visit today. Language here also tells a story. Italian is spoken everywhere, but Sardinian, especially the Campidanese dialect, is still alive in traditions and cultural events, reminding you that this city is deeply Sardinian at heart. Finally, Cagliari is a gateway to the rest of the island. From here, you can explore the ruins of Nora, the cliffs of Villasimius, or the golden dunes of Chia. The airport is just 7 kilometers away in Elmas, with easy train connections, and ferries link Cagliari to Rome, Naples, and Palermo year-round. Welcome to Northern Sardinia, a place that doesn't just sparkle, it blows your expectations out of the water. This is La Pelosa Beach, often called one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. The Mediterranean here isn't just blue, it's a dozen shades of turquoise, blending together like liquid glass. The sand, softer and whiter than powdered sugar. La Pelosa sits just outside the fishing town of Stintino in the province of Sassari. Today, Stintino lives and breathes tourism, and La Pelosa is the reason. Last year, over 1 million visitors came here. Think about that. 1 million people on a beach barely 300 meters long. It feels less like tourism and more like an invasion. So why is it so famous? The secret is the seabed. It's shallow, quartz-rich, and reflects the sunlight like a spotlight. The result is water that looks impossibly clear, calm, and pool-like. You can wade 100 meters out and still be standing waist-deep, with no currents, no undertow, no worries. La Pelosa is framed by dramatic scenery, the rocky headland of Capo Falcone, the quiet island of Piana, and the mysterious Asinara Island. Once a prison colony, now a national park. Together, they shield the beach from the fierce Mistral winds that hammer much of Sardinia's coastline. Guarding the horizon is the Torre della Pelosa, a stone watchtower built in 1578 by the Aragonese to keep pirates at bay. It still stands like a sentinel over the lagoon. You can swim across the shallows to reach the tiny islet it sits on. The tower itself is closed, but walking around it gives you a sense of history against one of the most surreal backdrops in Europe. The easiest way to reach La Pelosa is by car, especially if you're coming from Alghero. But be warned, once you see this place, every other beach in your life will feel ordinary. Alghero might be in Italy, but it feels like a piece of Catalonia that drifted across the sea and got stuck in Sardinia. Nicknamed Barceloneta, or Little Barcelona, this city on the Coral Riviera blends Mediterranean beauty with a Spanish heartbeat. Backed by Monte d'Ola, surrounded by olive groves and green hills, Alghero is a mix of wild and cultivated, nature and history intertwined. It sits in the province of Sassari, about 250 kilometers northwest of Cagliari, and is served by Alghero Fertilia Airport, just 10 kilometers away. It's small, but enough to bring in a steady flow of summer visitors. Once you're here, the best way to explore is slow, on foot, by bike, or cruising a scooter. This isn't a city you rush, it's a city you savor. The Genoese Doria family founded Alghero in the 12th century, but the real turning point came in 1353 when the Catalans took over. They expelled the locals, repopulated the city with settlers from Catalonia, and left behind a cultural imprint that still lingers today. Street signs are bilingual, and alongside Italian and Sardinian, you'll still hear Algherese, a Catalan dialect preserved for centuries. Alghero is full of personality. Gothic arches, Catalan balconies, Baroque churches, and medieval seawalls that still stand strong against the waves. About 40,000 people live here year-round, But in summer, the population swells with tourists, Italians escaping the mainland heat, plus Germans, Brits, and French drawn by the beaches, the food, and the rhythm of the streets. Even with 500,000 visitors a year, Alghero somehow never feels suffocated. And then there's the coral. This stretch of coast is called the Coral Riviera for a reason. Red coral has been fished here since Roman times, and today it's crafted into jewelry you'll find in boutiques tucked throughout the Old Town. Speaking of the Old Town, it's the heart of Alghero, and it's pure magic. Honey-colored buildings, narrow alleys, Gothic Catalan churches, and a seawall promenade that glows at sunset. The harbor curves around the city, where fishing boats bob beside gleaming yachts. Alghero may not have a direct ferry, but nearby Porto Torres connects Sardinia with mainland Italy, France, and Spain. Still, once you're here, you won't be in a hurry to leave. Alghero is compact, walkable, and built to seduce. A city where Italy and Spain collide in the most beautiful way. Halfway between Alghero and Oristano, on Sardinia's wild west coast, sits Bosa, a hidden jewel that feels almost forgotten by time. It's the only town on the island where a river flows straight into the sea. The Temo River winds lazily through pastel-colored houses, hillsides, and history, giving Bosa a backdrop unlike anywhere else in Sardinia. The town is nestled between rugged hills and the open waters of the Sardinian Sea, with Monte Malaspina rising above it. The landscape is a blend of fertile riverbanks, terraced vineyards climbing the slopes, and thick Mediterranean scrub. Bosa's story stretches back to the Romans, who founded Bosa Vitus near the river mouth in the 1st century BC. Later, in the 12th century, the powerful Malaspina family built Castello Malaspina on the hilltop. From here, they ruled and defended the region through centuries of Aragonese and Spanish control. Today, the fortress still looks down on the valley, a reminder of the town's long, proud past. Unlike the polished resorts along other coasts, Bosa feels authentic. About 8,000 people live here year-round, running schools, bakeries, and workshops. Lace-making, embroidery, and traditional crafts survive alongside cafes and small shops. This is a town for locals first and tourists second. And that's exactly what makes it so appealing. Strolling through Bosa feels like stepping into a painting. Narrow alleys climb toward the castle. Riverfront houses glow in shades of pink, yellow, and blue. And fishing boats bob gently in the water. The local dialect is a branch of Logodorese Sardinian, adding another layer of character to everyday life. Practical tip: there's no train station here, and buses are limited. The nearest airport is Alghero Fertilia, about 60 kilometers away. The drive from Alghero is winding and slow, but it rewards you with jaw-dropping views of Sardinia's rugged coastline. And when you finally roll into Bosa, you'll understand why the journey is worth it. Costa Smeralda is one of Italy's youngest travel destinations, but it attracts some of the oldest money in Europe. Until the early 1960s, this stretch of coast in northern Sardinia was nothing more than pastures for sheep and a few fishing villages. Then everything changed. A group of investors led by Prince Karim Aga Khan IV looked at this coastline and decided to create paradise from scratch. They formed the Consorzio Costa Smeralda, a development project that strictly controlled what could be built here. No billboards, no neon lights, no skyscrapers. Instead, they designed a Mediterranean dream. White stucco villas, curving roads, discreet luxury hotels hidden under cascades of bougainvillea. The result was an instant legend, a destination engineered for the ultra-wealthy, where everything revolves around exclusivity, privacy, and image. But beneath the glamour, The real star is the coastline itself. Costa Smeralda stretches for about 55 kilometers from the Gulf of Cognana to the Bay of Arzachena. Its name means Emerald Coast, and it's no exaggeration. The water here glows in surreal shades of green and blue, so clear it almost looks computer-generated. Rugged coves, hidden beaches, and smooth granite cliffs make this one of the most photogenic places in the Mediterranean. Whether you're sipping champagne in Porto Cervo, sailing a yacht between secluded bays, or just standing barefoot in the sand, Costa Smeralda proves that sometimes paradise can be man-made, but only works because nature did most of the heavy lifting. La Maddalena is not just an island. It's an archipelago, a scattered constellation of granite in the middle of a turquoise sea. 7 main islands, dozens of smaller islets, all wrapped inside a national park where land and water are equally protected. Here, the world feels carved from stone and sunlight. Pink granite cliffs glow under the Mediterranean sun. The air carries the scent of wild herbs, and everywhere you look, the sea shifts in shades of impossible blue. Just a short ferry ride from Palau. Only 20 minutes, yet it feels like another world. These islands discovered tourism late, and even now they carry a quieter rhythm than the nearby Costa Smeralda. What you find here is not luxury, but authenticity. A world shaped by salt, time, and a quiet kind of pride. The main island, also called La Maddalena, is home to a harbor town painted in warm colors, with piazzas that catch the late afternoon sun and cafes that invite you to linger. A narrow bridge leads across the water to Caprera, an island of pine forests, hidden beaches, and hiking trails that end at silent bays, sometimes visited by dolphins. Caprera also holds history. It was here that Giuseppe Garibaldi, Italy's national hero, spent his final years. His house, still surrounded by olive trees and silence, is now a museum. Inside are the belongings of a man who helped unite a nation, but chose to end his life in solitude, facing the sea. For most visitors, though, the Maddalena Islands are about the beaches. Bassa Trinità, Cala Spalmatore, stretches of sand and shallow, crystalline water that seem designed for perfect days. And then there's Cala Coticchio, reached only by a footpath across Caprera, where smooth white rocks cradle a bay so blue it feels almost unreal. Tourism has grown here, especially in summer, but the archipelago has held its soul intact. Protected by its national park status, development is limited, conservation is law. The result is rare, a paradise that welcomes you without losing itself. Most travelers who arrive in Sardinia by plane or by ferry will first set foot in Olbia. But don't rush to pick up your rental car and drive away. This city, sitting in the Gallura region, is far more than just a point on the map. Olbia is a natural harbor, a crossroad, a place where sea routes, air routes, and roads all converge. Its airport, the busiest in Sardinia, connects the island to the mainland and the rest of Europe. Its port is one of the island's great maritime gateways, welcoming ferries from Genoa, Livorno, and Rome. Highways stretch out from here to Sassari, Nuoro, and beyond. Even the trains, though modest, still find their way here. In every sense, Olbia is the island's front door. Its name comes from the Greeks. Olbia, meaning happy or blessed. And while many travelers pass through without stopping, more and more are beginning to stay. The old town is compact and walkable. Corso Umberto I, the main pedestrian street, runs through its center, lined with shops, trattorias, and cafes. From there, narrow lanes lead to quiet piazzas, Roman ruins, stone churches, and small museums that smell of dust and history. This isn't a polished resort town, it's authentic, alive. You'll hear ferry horns from the port, conversations in Gallery's dialect, the clink of espresso cups in neighborhood cafes. Olbia is a city that works, and that's its charm. But make no mistake, Olbia is also one of the best beach bases in Sardinia. Within half an hour, you can reach more than a dozen beaches, some calm and family-friendly, others wild and windswept. Sandy coves, rocky bays, and even Tavalara Island, a towering limestone peak rising out of the sea, reachable only by boat. Many of these beaches are so pristine that they consistently rank among the cleanest in Italy. Olbia may not be everyone's final destination, but it is a place where Sardinia begins, where practicality meets beauty, and where every journey on the island seems to pass through. On Sardinia's northern coast, perched on a rocky headland above the sea, sits Castelsardo, a medieval village that looks like it was lifted straight from a storybook. Its strategic position made it a prize for centuries. Founded around 1100 by the powerful Genoese Doria family, Castelsardo rose during an age of judges, sea raiders, and shifting alliances. Later, under the Kingdom of Sardinia and then a unified Italy, it took the name it still carries today, Castelsardo, the Castle of Sardinia. The old town is still wrapped in its fortress walls, crowned by the castle itself. Climbing up the alleys, sometimes steep, sometimes zigzagging, is a workout, especially under the summer sun. But every turn rewards you with views of tiled rooftops, stone arches, and the blue sweep of the Mediterranean. Inside the walls, life feels intimate. Shops spill with Sardinian handicrafts, especially baskets, woven by hand, a tradition passed down through generations. Small trattorias hide in corners, with terraces overlooking the sea. Even the tourist office is tucked beneath the castle, guiding visitors through history as much as geography. Below, the modern town spreads across the saddle of land, where traffic and daily business hum along. But up here, in the old town, the pace changes. It feels like you've stepped out of the present. Hotels and resorts line the coast, and a small bus shuttles between the beach, the modern town, and the castle above. But Castelsardo's real treasure is the experience of wandering on foot, climbing narrow streets, touching centuries-old stone, and feeling the blend of past and present that still shapes this remarkable village. On Sardinia's remote southwest coast lies one of the island's most surreal landscapes, the dunes of Piscinas, a place that feels more Sahara than Mediterranean. Here, a golden sea of sand rises straight out of the emerald waters and rolls inland like a mirage, shifting, sun-baked, alive with the wind. These are among the tallest active dunes in Europe, some soaring up to 60 meters. Over centuries, the sand has crept inland, swallowing juniper, pine groves, and anything that stood in its path. Today, the dunes cover more than 30 square kilometers, a wilderness sculpted by air and time. The road here isn't easy. No train, no bus. You'll pass abandoned mining towns, remnants of Sardinia's industrial past, then rattle along gravel tracks that feel like they lead to nowhere. But that's part of the initiation. By the time you arrive, the silence, the emptiness feels earned. On the beach itself, the scene is vast and elemental. The horizon stretches wide, the dunes glowing gold under the sun, the sea throwing waves with real force. Swimming here can be dangerous but unforgettable, the kind of place that reminds you how small you are. This is Piscinas, wild, untamed, and far removed from mass tourism. A desert at the edge of the Mediterranean. And that's Sardinia, an island of contrasts, wild mountains and sun-drenched beaches, medieval streets and luxury marinas, ancient legends and living culture. It's a place that doesn't just sit on the map, it demands attention, curiosity, and respect. From the heights of Gennargentu to the crystal waters of La Maddalena, from the castles of Castelsardo to the windswept dunes of Piscinas, every corner tells a story. Some are whispered by the wind, some shouted by history, all waiting for you to discover. Sardinia isn't just a destination, it's an experience. It's a reminder that the world still holds places that feel untouched, places that challenge your expectations, places that stay with you long after you leave. So pack your curiosity, your sense of adventure, and maybe a good pair of walking shoes. Sardinia is calling, and it promises to be unforgettable. If you loved this journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. There's so much more of the world to explore together. Until next time, keep wandering.